Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 20th, and this is video number 2 on the day here. Thought we'd take another look tonight here and see if there's some model agreement between the GFS and the European. We had some pretty big model disagreement this morning. We'll take another look at it here as we go through this video tonight. Looking at the infrared satellite imagery, you can see this next system out over the Pacific Ocean here, moving towards the west coast. Going to bring some precipitation, mainly Oregon, some in northern and central California. Cool things down across the desert southwest there for a few days, and then our eyes will turn to this next system out across the North Pole here. Going to dive down across British Columbia. How far south will that cold air get is what we're going to try to figure out as we go on into the early portion of next week. So just looking at the Missoula National Weather Service in Missoula, Montana, you can see there's still some uncertainty in just how far this cold air is going to dive south across the area. You kind of see that expressed here with the 70% probability staying central North Montana, 30% moving all the way down across western Montana also. And this would bring some pretty interesting snowfall amounts here, depending again on the extent of this cold air. Looking at National Weather Service Spokane, Tuesday through Thursday, you can definitely see the cool down here. Warmer temperatures here today and tomorrow, and then Sunday, Monday cooling down, Tuesday, Thursday kind of bottoming out here, again, depending on the track of this low pressure system that's going to move across the Pacific Northwest. If you want a nice affordable home weather station, here it is. You plug this into your wall, you plug it into this, and it talks wirelessly to your station that you'll have outside. Highly recommend the station. Make sure to click on that link down below to save 10% off. Make sure it's in your checkout code there so you get that discount. This is the light sensor, UV index, solar radiation, haptic rain sensor, sonic wind sensor, temperature, humidity, lightning detection, solar powered wireless. I highly recommend this station. Very fun. Now looking at the GFS, this is the latest 18Z, and you can see Washington, Oregon, California here. Here's our next system out over the ocean. This is the GFS Ensemble. So this is an average of all 30 Ensemble members that the GFS has. And all those Ensemble members are tweaked. Their initial conditions changed a little bit to correct for errors of the atmosphere. And this over here is the deterministic model. It is the atmosphere in the initial conditions the best we understand them. So we put this into motion here, and you can see the next system diving into the west coast here. But then our eyes are on this bit of a polar low swinging down through British Columbia here. And the GFS and the deterministic run, the 18Z, as you can see, it has not quite taken that storm away yet. The Ensemble mean also kind of has that trough reaching out towards western Washington here. Big ridge, north flow coming off the coast of BC with that colder air aloft. Now taking a look at what that would bring snow-wise. 18Z again. Now we're looking on in through this weekend, and watch this snowfall start to pile up across in the Cascades of Washington, Oregon. If that 18Z GFS verifies, and again, you saw that nice trough carving out here over the Pacific Northwest. Again, at 18,000 feet, that very cold air aloft would get all the way out across western Oregon, bring that snowfall across the Cascades. Look at that Crystal Mountain, Mount Rainier picking up over a foot with that activity. The Rockies getting some nice snow across western Montana, all the way down towards Wyoming, some in Nevada and Utah as well. It brings some pretty chilly air across much of the Intermountain West. And now we'll take a look at the European. So this is the 18Z, the Ensemble mean. This is the average of all 50 Ensemble members that are in the European model. And this is the Ensemble mean as of 12Z. So we're looking at two different time frames here. This is about 11 a.m. run, and this is the 5 a.m. run here. We didn't look at either one of these this morning. Put this into motion. You can see the system move into California. Here goes that polar low, but you see it pinches off quite quickly there, and it does not get that trajectory out over western Washington and western Oregon here. Not nearly as much so as the GFS is showing. So we still have some pretty substantial model disagreement here as we go through the early and mid portion of this upcoming week. Although the pattern is kind of the same here. The ridge a little bit further off to the east here, not allowing that trajectory to get out over western Washington. Although looking at some of the European Ensemble members here, you can still see there are some colder ones in here. So this would be kind of interesting. So some of them are still showing the possibility, but as you saw, for the most part, the control and the mean are not in agreement with the GFS here. So if the GFS wins this round, I'm going to stand up on one of these briefings here and give it a round of applause, and you guys should all join me because it would be quite a notable event. Now looking at the European Stampede Pass, this is up in the Cascades of Washington, not that far from Snoqualmie Pass on I-90 there, and you can see the control run has absolutely zilch. But you look at some of these individual Ensemble members here, and they bring some nice snowfall totals, the Cascades. So still big disagreement with the European and its own Ensemble members there. This is looking at Mount Baker, better the further north you go, but still the control with just barely over an inch. There's some bigger amounts, again, in some of these Ensemble members in better agreement that there is going to be some measurable snow for Mount Baker ski area. Now going a little further north towards Whistler, the European really favoring British Columbia here coming up here. This is in centimeters, but still nice snowfall amounts. 25 centimeters is 10 inches of snow, and the control had up towards 40 there, as you can see in the Ensemble agreement here for some decent snowfall rolling in with the European. It's quite high. This is the GFS with Whistler. The amounts are not as much. As you can see, the mean is just down around towards 12 centimeters or so, and you can kind of see the control with even less. I'm looking at Stampede Pass, the GFS, again, much better snow potential across the Cascades if that were to verify with that track coming offshore a bit more. Now the GFS Mount Baker also showing some nice amounts there as well, but you can kind of see the hit and miss nature of it also. So there is some disagreement even in the GFS and its own Ensemble members. Now looking at the European Ensemble, here on the left, this is total snow, and this is the one earlier this morning. Those are both this morning, actually, but this is the deterministic here on the right. The Ensemble mean is on the left here. So if we scroll through here, not all is lost if the European were to verify, at least as of right now. But you can see on the deterministic, check out just huge snow amounts across some of the Rockies and the higher terrain of British Columbia. So basically the Washington border north. Not much to speak of for a lot of the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, but the Ensemble members still show that potential, especially for the Washington Cascades, a little bit of light snow for the Oregon Cascades here as well. As you can see, the European is just like the lower 48 of the USA, you're just going to get a scant amount of snowfall here. The Ensemble is a little bit better here, but still huge disagreements between the GFS and the European. And honestly, I'm trending a little bit towards what the European is showing here. You know, it's just overall usually a better model. And it just kind of makes more sense. It's tough to get those perfect trajectory troughs right out over Western Washington. So it's not impossible, but right now I'm leaning towards what the European is saying. Now this is the European out of 18Z. Let's see what kind of systems we'd be rolling in here. There goes that initial one that we saw in the infrared satellite imagery. And you can see bringing some, maybe the southern half of Washington, some precipitation for Oregon, some central and northern California, maybe even southern California there as well. But you can see that system move on through here. And then we bring this next system, a fairly robust low, right towards Haida Gwaii, and bringing an atmospheric river-like feature out ahead of this system and some precipitation down into Washington there as well. And this would be looking all the way out towards next Wednesday night, kind of a warm front feature there, maybe another developing low trying to move in here. But we're looking a little bit far off into the forecast there. But you can see this still would be bringing some precipitation for Washington, but definitely the colder air would be relegated to British Columbia and Alberta, Rockies, and the higher terrain of British Columbia. Now looking at the GFS here, this is the 18Z and what it would look like if the GFS were to verify. There goes the initial system here, Oregon, California, and then you can see that colder air start to slide down into the area, and the big snowfall amounts would get all the way down in the Washington Cascades. Snowfall for the Cascades of Oregon here. Also, cold air trying to get down all the way into Western Washington. Early season cold shot on the GFS, and look at Montana would be getting decent amount of snow. Even down towards some of the higher valleys here would be picking up some measurable snowfall as well across Montana. You can see this very cold air move down over the Intermountain West on in through next week. So interesting differences still out there. And again, I'm kind of leaning towards what the European is saying at this point. But look at the GFS. This is apparent temperature as well. Let's just kind of take a look to see how chilly it would get. So this will be for Friday. That would be for today. Let's go ahead and scroll ahead into tomorrow and kind of just check on the temperature, what we're expecting for tomorrow. Not bad, not a bad day out there. Nothing too crazy, but some, mid upper 60s for the Willamette Valley, maybe some mid 60s for Western Washington. And we scroll on through Sunday. Not a bad day there as well. Monday, we really start to see that colder air start to move down a bit here as we go through Tuesday. Some of these overnight lows, especially for the mountains there. Check it out, getting nice and chilly. And look at the daytime highs on Tuesday, only the low to mid 50s here for Seattle. And then look on Wednesday, you're not getting out of the 40s here, I don't think, for Seattle on Wednesday, if that 18Z GFS. But it is fantasy as of this point. But it's kind of fun to look at this. I mean, look at some of this colder air for the Cascades here on in through Thursday, very early morning. Pretty chilly. There's some single digits showing up in the Cascades and probably up in through Montana as well, Idaho Panhandle. So interesting stuff there. And this is the 6 to 10 day here. This was issued today, October 26th through the 30th here, kind of that below average signal here across a lot of the Pacific Northwest, especially across Montana and some of the northern plains also. Better chance for that cold air to get down in there. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, actually a below average signal here across some of the Pacific Northwest, same time frame there. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little look at that 18Z fantasy GFS. The European probably more likely at this point, but as always, we'll continue to break it down day by day. I'll do my normal briefing tomorrow morning. Check out the California Weather Watch channel also. Hope you guys are having a good night there, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.